It's here. Welcome, guys, to
When You Wish Upon a
Podcast. And yes, it's a morning podcast. Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry it's going to have to be mornings on this week because of me working. Because I can't do the evenings because I work evenings.
So, hello, I'm Jack Skellington.
I guess I'm Jack Skellington, too. I guess we decided we were going to do the Jack Skellington thing, even though we're not even talking about that movie today, but we decided...
Something Disney-related.
Yeah. We were trying to figure out, we got to get... Well, for one, we have to get this mister over here a wardrobe of Disney shirts.
Never.
Well,
I'm more anime and video games than I am Disney. You know this.
Well, Kingdom Hearts... Come on.
Alright, I will bow to the Kingdom Hearts t-shirt stuff.
But you're still going to get some Disney shirts. Because you got to be Disney-fied when we go on our trip next year.
Says you.
Yeah. Hey, Dana.
Thank you for the like, honey.
Yes. Welcome. So, but today we are going on our little trip down, we're going down on the trip of our Disney movie list of our eras, and we're up to the Silver Age, which this age started making Disney money.
Yep.
This is where it all started. Yeah, there was maybe like one flop, I think, out of this whole entire group.
Really, what do you think that one is?
Oh, I know what it is. Do you know? Because I already knew this from, I even knew this before I even researched anything. Good morning, Chris.
Snow White.
Snow White was in the Golden Age, honey. We're in the Silver Age. So out of the 6 movies that's in this group, there's only one that actually failed.
Really, we have Alice in Wonderland, Lady and the Tramp, 101 Dalmatians, The Jungle Book.
You got Cinderella.
Okay.
You got Peter Pan.
Uh-huh.
You got Sleeping Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? There's somebody else. I think you got everybody, didn't we? No, there's one more.
There's the Dark Cauldron, isn't it?
Oh, Sword and Stone.
Sword and Stone. The Dark Cauldron.
The Black Cauldron's in the Dark Age.
Ah.
Because it was made in 1980 something.
So isn't the financial failure
Oh,
Sleeping
so
Beauty?
you think it's Lady and the Tramp that failed, Chris? Okay.
I'm going for Sleeping Beauty.
Okay. Well, we'll figure that out. Or Sword in the Stone. Yep. Well, there is. That's what I said. Most of these movies made money. Besides one did bomb.
Yeah, I'm still going for Sleeping Beauty.
Okay. I know. So, but anyways, to get this started, guys, we are going to start with Cinderella because that was the start of the Silver Age, and this is one of Walt Disney's favorite princess movie, actually, that he enjoyed making. But before Cinderella's release, the Disney studio was $4 million in debt. Over the previous decade, such anime features as Fantasia, Pinocchio, and Bambi have been costly flops. World War II had cut the studio off from the lucrative overseas audience. The animated features it had released in the interim had been compilations of shorts like Fun and Fancy Free and Melody Time. So even with the short cartoons that he made in the 40s, I know we could talk about those guys. That's the wartime era, but I think I'm going to do that as a special thing because it's all as shorts. It's not actually a full length film. So they're just all shorts throughout propaganda about World War II and stuff. That's what Disney did throughout that time. So it's like it was not really much like big productions going on at that time. Yep. So I'm going to kind of leave that as a maybe after the fact of what we're going to talk about these eras. But I'm talking about ones. That's nice, Chris. But the return to ambitious narrative features then marked both a creative and financial gamble for the studio. The first time in 8 years it had made such an attempt. Had the film failed, it would have bankrupt the Disney company. So if Cinderella did not come on, then Disney would have been gone. Like, Disney probably would have just fell apart.
So there's been multiple times where Disney has just almost crashed and burned.
But this one, if this movie right here, Cinderella, did not do well, I seriously think Disney would not have existed. Like, after that. It would just been either got bought out by somebody or, whatever.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, this movie was like their, oh my God, we better, buckle down. This is in the 50s, so we're getting into the 50s era now, so.
Right.
And there are many versions of the Cinderella tale in European folklore, but Disney chose the one made familiar by French author Charles Perrault. I guess. Perrault. Yeah, in 1697. So this story. He's the author who introduced to the tale that the key elements of the fairy godmother, the pumpkin-turned coach, and the glass slippers. In his version, along with the small creatures turned into Cinderella's driver and horses, there is a group of lizards transformed into footmen. Alas, the Disney cartoon leaves the reptiles out, but the live action brought them back in.
Interesting.
So basically, didn't Brothers Grimm write Cinderella? Like, didn't they have their own story of that?
I don't know, honestly.
I know they did Snow White and stuff, but I didn't know. Yeah, there is of Cinderella. Yeah, there is so many remakes and stuff, but they did a live action back in the 2000s. Like, yeah. Eileen Woods landed the voice role of Cinderella without even knowing she auditioned. Her friends, songwriters Mac David and Jerry Livingston, there we go, try to get that word out, parts of the trio along with Al Hoffman, who composed all the songs from Cinderella, had her sing on a demo recordings for the movie's tunes, Bippity Boppity Boo, So This Is Love, and A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes. They sent the demos to Walt Disney, who liked her voice so much that he cast Woods in the lead role without giving her a formal audition. Yeah, that's a different story. Like, that's, Chris, with that one, that's a different story. Like they said, there's a different folklore throughout
Europe. Yeah, no, Cinderella's by Charles Perrault. Snow White was created by the Brothers Grimm.
Well, but they said there's a lot of folklore to this Cinderella story. But Disney chose the Perrault one because of the fairy godmother, all that, you know. Mm-hmm. So, but there is, like I said, like Chris says, there is one of the kind of the feet, yeah, to fit the shoes. Yeah, there is a folklore on that, of that type of version of Cinderella. Yes. But nobody really talks about that one.
Yes.
William Phips provided the speaking voice of Prince Charming. His singing voice, however, came from Mike Douglas, the future daytime talk show host. I have no idea who Mike Douglas and what talk show he was, because I'm like, you don't even sound familiar. You have those familiarity of people's voices and stuff. Mm-hmm. Him, I'm like, well, I don't know what daytime TV talk show you were, but okay, we'll go with it. Eleanor Audley performed the voice of Lady Tremaine, the wicked stepmother. Later, she would also play the villainous Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty. Disney animators designed both characters to look like Audley as well. So basically, Maleficent and Lady Tremaine are both the same person. They're one and the same.
I wouldn't put it past.
Yeah, so, if you look at their faces, they're exactly the same. Besides, if you look at the features of Maleficent and
Lady Tremaine reminded me so much of B. Arthur back in the day.
I could see it, but she was not even a thing at that time. I don't think yet. I don't know yet. Like, I know she was older, like when she played the Golden Girls, but you know.
Yeah, but every time I looked at Lady Tremaine, and like you could compare her, if B. Arthur was still alive, mm-hmm. she'd make great Lady Tremaine for a remake.
I would agree to that. I would have because that's what you think. Lucifer the cat was voiced by June Foray, the cartoon voiceover artist later best known for playing Granny in the Tweety and Sylvester cartoons, mm-hmm. and Rocky the Flying Squirrel and Natasha Fayettell in Bullwinkle cartoons.
Yes, Natasha. Has to get moose and squirrel.
Well, I'm sorry. Verna Felton, who was the voice of the fairy godmother, was a frequent Disney player, having worked on Dumbo as both Mrs. Jumbo and the elephant matriarch. I don't know. But she went to voice the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland, Aunt Sarah in Lady and the Tramp, and the fairy Flora and the Queen in Sleeping Beauty. Another elephant, Winifred, in the Jungle Book. So basically, throughout the Silver Age, she voiced pretty much everybody else.
No,
this
lady. Little either important characters or somewhat side characters.
So since Dumbo, she's just been that voice. Like they want her voice. So it's like, okay, well you just Yeah. Veteran Disney sound effects artist Jimmy McDonald, who voiced Mickey Mouse for 30 years, the first first man other than Walt himself to voice the iconic character. So basically, after Walt gave up, that guy was the voice for 30 years. Worked on Cinderella as the voices of the mice Jack and Gus, and as Bruno the dog. He goes on to make animal noises in Alice in Wonderland, the Dormouse, and Peter Pan, the tick-tock of the clock-eating crocodile, Lady and the Tramp, the chorus of howling dogs, Chip and Dale shorts, he was Chip, and various Donald Duck and Winnie the Pooh cartoons as buzzing bees.
Right.
The Jungle Book, various animals, and the rescuers, Evinrude, the dragonfly. I can't wait to get to that one. I want to see what's behind the rescuers. I love the rescuers. Well, more or less rescuers down under, but yeah.
There's so much good and so much bad with the rescuers, but
yeah, you know. As with many of the Disney animated features, actors were hired as visual models to act out the sequences as studies for the animators. Helen Stanley, who was the live-action Cinderella, went on to perform the same duties for Princess Aurora in Sleeping Beauty and Anita in 101 Dalmatians. Jeffrey Stone was the visual model for Prince Charming. So I kind of like that kind of idea. Like, yeah, there might be some characters that look like they're voice actors, but then there's some that's just like totally not even what they look like they're voice actors. Mm-hmm. So it's like, wow. Several sequences failed to make it into the final film. One early sequence, the prince hunting a deer, shades of Bambi, only to reveal that the hunter and prey were pals playing a game. I was like, well, that's kind of funny how you want to start Cinderella with the prince doing a hunting, game.
Right.
A third element sequence has Cinderella eavesdropping on her stepmother and stepsisters gossiping about the mystery woman at the ball, with Cinderella showing amusement at their unawareness that she herself is the woman they're talking about. Walt Disney had that sequence cut because he thought it made the heroine look spiteful and risk audience sympathy, which I could see.
Cinderella, night and day at Cinderella.
But the thing is, I don't understand because they didn't explain this. I know they explained it in the live action Cinderella, but they didn't explain to the animators, like, how did they not know that was Cinderella? Because they didn't sit there and say, like in live action one of the Cinderella, they put like, oh, here's a kind of like a mask, like the fairy put like your mask now, but you still look the same, but you have a mask, nobody else will know who you are, or your stepmothers or stepsisters. But I'm like, but in the cartoon they don't explain that, so you're just like, how the heck do they don't know that's Cinderella? I mean, you can't
just because her hair's fancy and she's got some makeup on
or in a big dress,
with glass slippers. You could still tell the same recognizable facial features and say, hey, I know you. Yeah,
see, that would confuse me so much. It's like they didn't even explain, like, does she, like in the live action they explained that she has like a kind of a mask to her stepsisters and stepmother, like they don't know who it is, But it was just like,
no, but she's like this.
Yeah.
She just goes out like this.
But she's still the same person. Like if you saw her with her hair down and whatever she did with her other stuff. So I'm like, that confused me, and I think that was probably what a plot hole filler in the live action movie. Just so we're like, okay, there's that plot. That's probably what happened. After she got dressed up, maybe they put the spell mask thingy, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
A cut version of the ending had the Grand Duke learning Cinderella's identity and bringing her to the castle, where the prince expresses surprise but not disappointment that Cinderella is a servant and not a princess. Then the fairy godmother was to appear and restore Cinderella to her appearance the night of the ball. Walt nixed the sequence because he found it too long and argued that it denied viewers the emotional payoff of having the prince discover Cinderella's identity himself.
Yes, through the glass slipper.
But the thing is, they did that in the live action where the prince was there seeing Cinderella, finding Cinderella as a servant, and all that in the live action Cinderella, but then the animated one, no.
Yeah.
So, with the hire of David Livingston and Hoffman, Cinderella marked the first time Disney had turned to establish professional songwriters from outside the studio. But Disney also kept the publishing rights on their compositions with Cinderella, also marking the launch of the Walt Disney Music Company, which introduced a new revenue stream from sheet music publishing and later soundtrack albums.
So basically saying, hey, you're allowed to use
Superman Clark Kent with them without guns, right? It's almost like that, but it's different.
Yeah, but now the Walt Disney Music Company has come about with, hey, here's sheet music. Y'all can learn how to do this. You guys have full rights to it as long as you give us revenue for it.
Right. With anything with Disney now. Disney is like...
It's like, you're more than welcome to use our...
I understand they're playing a good, marketing game. But, yeah. I see you updated the number. Yeah, I knew you were going to talk about it. I was like...
She actually looked at me like, oh, with your 138 subscribers, and she's like, oh, you need to change that to 141.
Because I know somebody, hint, Albert, would make a deal about it. But hi, Albert. Good morning. But the soundtrack was also a trailblazer in the use of double-tracked vocals. Walt came up with the innovative idea of having, and this is interesting. I thought this was so interesting when I found this fact. Innovative. Would sing harmony with herself on a second and third vocal track on the song Sing Sweet Nightingale. Mm-hmm. Woods recalled that upon hearing the finishing recording, Disney remarked, "How about that? All these years I've been paying 3 salaries for the Andrews sisters when I could have only paid for 1 for you." I was like, oh, wow. Savage there, Disney. He's like, dang, I've been paying 3 salaries for these sisters when I could have just paid you for 1.
Right? I could have paid just for 1 singer and just doubled up the back vocals.
Yeah, so he was innovative with that. Like, with your own, harmony of yourself. Mm-hmm. So I was like, wow. The film cost $3 million to make. Over the years, it has earned back more than $85 million, not adjusting for inflation. So like, for these, since it came out in 1950 something.
So hold on, let me get this right. So Walt Disney was already $4 million, or the Disney company was already $4 million in debt.
Yes, when they made Cinderella, or around the time
when they started the production.
It was
so by the end of production, they were in about $7 million in debt, give or take.
Depending, whatever. If you want to do it, if we were going to go like that,
give or take. Give or take. Yeah.
But Cinderella, over the years, not including the inflation, different, prices of jumping, it's still making them money, basically.
No, I know that.
That's basically Cinderella's making them money. Still, to this day.
Oh, I understand that. It's just like...
Probably the only, Disney made,
so basically... No, but basically, the initial... sellout, I guess, the initial profit from it surpassed their debt, so it fixed their debt problem
That's why I said this is where stuff is making them money now.
Yeah, like how much did it acquire the
first
time?
So it's kind of like almost the first Renaissance Disney. Almost,
yeah, it's like its own Renaissance, where it's like, hey, we're in shit.
Let's say it's like the Renaissance for Disney himself.
Yeah,
with him being alive, with his creations, basically.
Yeah, but also probably because the Walt Disney Music Company
probably
now opening up the rights to prior movie music, etc.
Snow White and all that. Yeah.
Which makes sense. Commercialism was big in the 50s, 60s.
Because that's when TV was actually becoming more popular, being in households, as in the 1950s.
Yeah, and commercialism was the everything, pretty much. Like, hey, if you really want to sell your product, get someone or something behind it as a stamp of approval to really sell your product. And by then, I mean, they still use that same marketing tactic to this day, but with a popular hit song, and it has nothing to do with the product, but hey, it's there, and it's like, okay, kind of
like probably when you start with your iTunes and when you buy certain songs and stuff, and
But it's like you'll have Uptown Funk, but it's a Pepsi commercial,
right? So yeah. So, as the biggest hit Disney had enjoyed in 13 years since Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella generated enough cash flow not only to save the studio, but to allow it to create its own distribution.
Yeah,
distribution. I can't talk right now.
Yeah,
have been distributed past Disney features by RKO. Finance several live action and animated films, entered the world of television production, and build the Disneyland theme park. So basically, Cinderella helped build Disneyland.
Right. Do you know what RKO is?
And I know it's some media company, because I know
it's radio. It originally was a radio station.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no, I know because I've seen it on old like TCM movies.
Certain
ones.
RKO used to be just a full-on radio station that was broadcasted, and then it got to the point where it became more televised than radio.
Right. Well, and they got into the finest of like live action, so that's when you come in with like your Star of Mary Poppins, your Song of the South, I'm assuming. Well, no, not really. I think Song of the South came in the 40s. But, like, other live actions of Disney that did in that same time period. So, they got to do more because Cinderella made them the cash flow. So, that was the one. Cinderella was nominated for 3 Academy Awards. Best Sound, Best Original Score, and the Best Original Song, Bippity Boppity Boo, was the Best Original Song. Bippity Boppity Boo. David Livingston and Hoffman would go on to write the songs for Disney's Alice in Wonderland. The studio re-released Cinderella in theaters 6 times in 1957, 1965, 1973, 1981, 1987, and 2013, which I think 2013 is the live-action Cinderella.
Yeah.
Not the animated one. TV killed the radio star, TV killed the radio...
Well, it's video killed the radio star if you wanted to get into that song.
Yeah. In recent years, Disney had released 2 direct-to-video sequels, Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True, which was in 2002, and Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, 2007. And I do remember watching those, too.
I've never watched them.
And, I mean, take it for granted. Like
the video, the VHS.
Basically, but... Not really about DVD because it's in 2002 and 2007. That's when DVD.
Okay, straight to DVD. They didn't get the gracious, movie
theater. But they weren't the best either. Not in the mean way. They were good. I think I would have liked it more if they did the sequels to Cinderella. If they added like maybe a kid or something. They didn't. They just like, oh look, like Twist in Time was. Oh look, let's see when Lady Tremaine got the magic wand and did the story.
Which is odd.
And then in, like, the Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True, it's basically, like, short stories with Cinderella in it. And, like, Anastasia finds love through a baker, type thing. It's, like...
Still, though,
kind of like it was, like, it was more a miss than a hit with those.
That's what I'm getting at,
to me, it felt like it was, like, something that, like, Disney had to get something out. So, like, oh, let's just, like... randomly, let's just make a Cinderella sequel just for that year to make it look good,
Right.
So that's what I think.
Because I was gonna say, how's those not become hits, and yet like Lion King 1.5 and Lion King 2 were fucking financial successes.
But you see, Lion King 2, a child.
True. It pretty much continued.
Even Little Mermaid 2 did good with the story of the Lion King daughter.
Okay, so Lion King 2 was equally just as good.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, it's like just as one of my favorite sequels of Disney I've ever had.
Especially their set of songs.
Oh yeah, the songs were so awesome.
But Lion King 1.5, that should have been straight to DVD, at least I think. But again, it gained such a success
because Lion King was big. It became the biggest thing out of the Renaissance era, besides, like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, but it was just like, it was like, oh, now you get to see at least Timon and Pumbaa's side. It was like...
Or that they're saying, like, oh, Timon and Pumbaa caused all this stuff. Like, oh, the kneeling of the animals at Circle of Life. This and that.
Yeah, all because of a Pumbaa fart.
Or it was like, stuff like that. Like, Timon and Pumbaa did all this, behind the scenes, basically, and we didn't know.
Yeah.
It was basically a retelling of the first movie, just in Timon and Pumbaa's point of view, basically. Well, they thought because Timon and Pumbaa were such a good, but we'll get into that when we get there. With Yeah,
that's going to be a good topic.
Cinderella's castle, the signature landmark at the Magic Kingdom Disney Park in Disney World in Florida, is designed to look like the palace in the movie, albeit with some modern amenities, elevators, a restaurant, a beauty salon, the Bippity Boppity Boutique, and a VIP hotel suite.
I'm sorry. Which is would you say? I'll bet.
A bet.
Albeit.
Be it. Whatever. I don't know. Don't talk to me on words. Just
don't talk to me on words. I'll just.
Along with the Sleeping Beauty Castle at the center of Disneyland in California, Cinderella Castle is the basis for the logo seen at the beginning of the Walt Disney Pictures films and home video releases, as well as Walt Disney Television Production and Disney Music Group projects.
Yes.
So, it's not Sleeping Beauty's castle, it's all Cinderella.
Yes.
Because that tells you that Cinderella's the big success there for Disney. And that got, like I said, got them out of debt. And that's like their,
I guess that's like their oh, thank you.
And Woods claimed Walt Disney once told her Cinderella was his favorite among his film's heroines. I think it was the rags to riches tale. She speculated, of course, then I don't know how many times Walt had risked it all to realize his dreams, which Walt risked a lot.
Oh, yeah.
With his Disney company.
Like he's always said, for those flops, they've always been, artistic successes, but financial failures.
Yeah.
Like,
well, like, yeah.
He's loved, well,
but
I mean, in a way.
Also, I think so, too, with the Golden Age. If World War II wasn't going on at the time, I think his other movies would have been successes like Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Bambi, and,
Well, yeah.
Dumbo. But that's because, well, sad to say, we came into World War II. And then, when everything gets shut down, stuff gets shut down. Overseas, people don't realize how much impact overseas comes to play.
Well, then again,
and that's when people make a big deal.
Then again, that's the government's financial situation from then to now. Now there's like $500 million set to the side almost yearly, and that's specifically for militant anything.
Yeah, but like I said, they couldn't that's why I'm saying that's probably why the reason why Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was Hitler's favorite movie is because. Well, that's the only movie that got to be produced overseas.
Yeah.
That got to go through overseas because after that, everything got shut down. So Hitler wouldn't know about Pinocchio or Dumbo or Fantasia or Bambi at that time, you know? Because, hell, it was just that.
But, what the hell was it?
What was the starving artist of his time? Yes, he was. He basically was the starving artist of his time. Like he said, he mortgaged stuff for himself, Yeah,
there's plenty of times he's mortgaged his home, his vehicles.
Like he did a lot. Like, just because he had
oddly
so
enough,
much...
the man, from what I've read, sold some of his clothes just to make ends meet.
And I that wouldn't put me past, of him doing stuff. Because he was very, that dream... He was the biggest dreamer, and he did make his dream come true. Like, he kept going for that dream. And it was a long shot dream, basically. If you think about it, nowadays, it is a long shot to make your own company.
Oh, yeah.
Or be original of a company, and even get a chance to experience all that, too. So, it's like...
the best Disney slogan has always been one particular thing. And it all started...
with the mouse.
Hey.
Yeah. Yep. So, but Cinderella is the oldest Disney princess, by the way.
Yes.
She is the oldest Disney princess. In the movie, Cinderella is 19 years old, making her the oldest princess, followed by Tiana of Princess and the Frog. So I'm guessing she's the oldest. So 19 is the oldest Disney princess. So everybody else is either below 19. So Tiana was probably 18, of course, I'm assuming. Because if she's followed by Cinderella. So basically, guys, if you're thinking about all these Disney princesses, they're in their teens. None of them are passing 19. None of them did.
Nope.
So even
probably from the 14s to
because people are saying Snow White was 14 at the time.
Well, how old is Alice?
Alice, the way she looks, her thing is about 10. I would say 10 or 11, maybe 12. To give or take. Because she is young.
Yeah.
So give and take, she's probably...
here we go.
What?
Here we go. There's actually a website that covered all of it. Snow White being the youngest at age 14.
But no. Well, they're probably not considering Alice a princess, even though technically she is a princess.
Yeah, they... again, unless Disney says otherwise...
Well, like I said, they do have 12 Disney princesses that they deemed official Disney princesses. So that's why I'm trying to say Anna and Elsa are never going to be a princess. And Disney already said they're never going to make Anna and Elsa the official Disney princesses.
Oh, no, Tiana is 19 as well. Same age as Cinderella.
I'm going to say give or take.
Give or take.
We'll give or take. Because I don't know.
The 11 here, they state, are... Snow White, age 14.
Hey, Goku's saying God.
Jasmine, who is 15. Ariel, who is 16. Aurora, who is 16.
I know those two because they do tell you they're 16.
Mulan and Merida are both 16. Bella, 17.
The thing is, Albert, the reason why Anna and Elsa are not official Disney princess because Disney's not going to do it because of their own franchise from Disney. Because they've had so much success.
And they're technically Pixar, not just
No, they're
Disney.
not. They're Disney.
Really?
Pixar had nothing to do with Frozen.
Oh, interesting.
It's totally, but that's the innovative of the more the Pixar look.
Pocahontas and Rapunzel are 18, and yeah, Cinderella and Tiana are roughly 19.
I'm gonna give a take on Tiana. She might be actually 18. I'm gonna give a take unless that's official, like Disney saying it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give a take, but I know like the official ones like Sleeping Beauty, Ariel, and Rapunzel. They actually do say their age in the movie, so that's official. Like they say they're 16, they say they're 18. Or their birthday or whatever. But yes, that's the reason why on an Elsa. Technically, Elsa can't be a Disney princess because technically she's a queen. So that's a totally different outlook out of that. But that's the reason why Disney is not ever going to make them official, because they're their own identity, I guess, in Disney. So that's why. Cinderella is the first non-royal blood princess.
Oh, yeah.
Cinderella had paved the way for other characters such as Belle and Mulan to be princesses without actually being royal. So that's a good thing. Cinderella's shoe size is 4.5.
That is a tiny fucking foot.
I'm sorry.
It makes somewhat sense when the ugly.
I can't sit there and see 4.5 foot on her body type. Because look, if you look at her body type, she doesn't look.
Okay, so let's say she's 16.
No, she's 19.
Okay.
So she's like 19. She's a full-grown woman.
Okay, so she's technically 19. She's about, let's say, 5'4", 5'5".
I'm gonna give or take. I don't know.
Roughly between 122, maybe 130
but to see, just looking at her stature, even in the movie,
compared to everybody else. 4. I mean, I'm literally 5'4", 160 pounds.
I'm 5'4". My feet,
my sister is literally, what is it? She is 5'2", and about 110. Let's say that's Cinderella. Katie still has size 6, size 7 feet, roughly
I'm
that to match her stature.
And I have 8 size foot. 7 is
yeah. So let's say I was gonna say 6 to 8. At least give the comfort zone.
No, I can't fit a 6. I know for sure I can fit. I mean, I'm talking about like if you're talking about my height.
Oh no, I'm not talking about your height. I'm talking about the general shoe size, like for Cinderella.
Yeah.
Aww.
Hi, big blonde bimbo.
Aww. Hey Albert, can you take care of that?
But it just still kind of bothers me, like of her shoe size. I don't understand.
I wouldn't understand either.
It just blows me. It's just like, that is such a small foot. And then plus, okay.
Thank you, Albert.
Thanks, Albert. But and then also too, it's like, hello. So if you know, like most of these people that do stuff, they have to play as the part,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like so you're trying to get people with 4.5, 5 shoe size if they're trying to be playing the actual part in the parks, I'm like, please don't,
Yeah.
It's just confusing, actually. It just blows me. I don't know. It
just blows you?
It just, what I'm saying, just blows my mind on that.
There you go. It blows your mind. I mean, if it blows you, then shit, I must be doing my job wrong.
But, yeah. One of the scenes from the movie is Walt Disney's favorite animation ever. Walt Disney loves the iconic scene where the fairy godmother transforms Cinderella's torn dress into the gown. So that's his favorite scene out of the whole movie.
Oh.
So that's kind of cute. That's kind of cute, actually. Yes, Albert.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, what?
I'm sorry.
Pink Bee cheating on me with them Disney movies. They're blowing her.
But Cinderella has a connection with 2 other Disney animations.
Really?
Cinderella's live-action model, Helen Stanley, also modeled for... Yeah, basically they're telling the connection. Like, I already said this, that the model was the same for Anita and Sleeping Beauty.
Oh, okay.
The evil stemmer plays... Yeah. Yeah, basically the race of these are I already read. Oh, wait. This is why you can find Cinderella's topiary area in France section at the park at Epcot. Cinderella's originated from the French story. Cinderella was the first love duet. Cinderella was the first Disney princess to sing with her love interest.
Mm.
Well, Yeah, okay, I can see where they're saying, because I'm almost willing to sit there and argue about that, but then again, I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, really, yeah. Like, they actually, sang the same song. Because I was going to say Snow White, because when she's at the wishing well, the prince comes in and stuff, but they're not really singing together. They're just like, he came out of nowhere.
Right.
So I was kind of like, wait, what? But I was like, oh, never mind, that makes sense. So I was like, I was about to argue that, but I was like, but then I was like, yeah, they're singing the same song, so that's a love duet right there. Well, that's all about Cinderella. Is there anything else you want to know about Cinderella, or you think that was enough information for her? Oh, and by the way, Cinderella's dress is not blue. It is white. If you think about it, if you looked at, or kind of silver in the movie, when she has it, it's never blue.
I understand, but I'm guessing that's Walt's direction, because blue really makes it pop.
Well, I don't know who decided to have her dress blue in the first place. In more sense, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, at the end... Well, no, but I mean, even in the animation direction, everything that ends goes to Walt before it's finalized. You know this as well as I do.
I know, but I don't know what,
So he made the creative decision to say yes. Because, again, if you take a look at her blonde hair and that blue dress, it makes her pop. That's a color.
Yeah, but I just want to know why. But no, that's what I'm saying.
Well, no, like when you take yellow. Yeah, when you take yellow.
But I mean, it looked good in the movie. Like, if you watch the original movie of Cinderella, the animated version, even with the kind of the silvery, I'm gonna call it silver, not really white, because I think of white, I think of it like as a wedding dress. Mm-hmm. So.
I don't know.
It's kind of a thing. My friend's calling me. She's gonna have to wait.
Which friend?
Brittany. It's okay. I could probably talk to her.
It's probably important.
She's probably going to ask me about dinner, and I did it already.
No. All right, so now we're going to get into the Alice in Wonderland series from the 1930s.
What? Excuse me, 1930s? No, we're in the 1950s, honey.
I'm sorry, 1951.
I love that silvery hair look. Yeah, I mean, her hair was still blonde. It was just like the dress was silver, and I don't know where the hell that go from that movie from the silver dress to blue. Kind of like, okay, this makes no sense, but whatever. It's Disney. Disney does whatever.
Here's a little fun fact to start off with. Walt Disney had dreamed of making Alice for 30 years. Back in 1923, it was still making silent shorts for the Laugh-O-Gram studio in Kansas City, Missouri. He made one called Alice's Wonderland that was a mixed live-action Alice with animated creatures. This short became his calling card before he went to Hollywood. What?
I don't know why you're talking like this. This was not 1950s talk, but okay.
Well, again, that's 1920s and 1930s. At least we're going into those. Because these are little bits and pieces before Alice came to be.
I know, but I was like, I don't know why you're talking.
Now, in the 1930s, when he became a successful animator, Disney envisioned a live-action Alice feature that would star Mary Pickford. He bought the film rights to Sir John Tennell's iconic illustrations from the original Alice books. And as Disney began to make the full-length features instead, he revived the live-action animation mix that would star Ginger Rogers. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Disney hired visionary Brave New World novelist Aldous Huxley to write an Alice screenplay, but he found Huxley's draft too literal. He soon decided the only way to adapt Lewis Carroll's books was to make a feature entirely animated and not be too faithful to the nearly plotless tales. Inspired by the concept art of Wonderland settings that he solicited from Mary Blair, Disney decided to take the project in a more whimsical, comical direction. Disney has commissioned 30 songs for the film based on the verses Carroll had sprinkled throughout the books. 14 of them made the cut, making Alice the most song-filled of all the Disney movies. Well, at least all the Disney animated musicals.
Yeah.
Sammy Fain's title song became a jazz hit for Dave Brubeck. A discarded tune called Beyond the Laughing Sky was rewritten to become the second star to the right, the opening number in Disney's 1953 version of Peter Pan.
Sorry, my brain just went shut down for a second. Okay, what?
Oh, it's okay. Ooh, this is a good one. Popular comic actor Ed Wynn was hired to voice the Mad Hatter. becoming the first major celebrity to voice a role in a Disney animated feature. Later on in his career, he returned to Disney, playing in live-action roles, most memorably in Babes in Toyland as the Toy Maker, and in Mary Poppins as the giggling, levitating Uncle Albert.
Yep.
I love to laugh. What? Just that laugh?
Oh, I know the song and I know the movie and stuff. You just know how to do it and everything when you watched it so much.
Yep.
It's like, okay.
So others in the cast had less familiar names. Though Disney fans would recognize their voices as they recurred in other Disney projects, Catherine Beaumont, the 12-year-old who voiced Alice,
Lou soon later voiced the character Wendy in Peter Pan, which comes right after Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, who went on to star in Wendy and Peter Pan. Bill Thompson, who played the White Rabbit, would later play the pirate sidekick Smee in Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Jacques the Terrier in The Lady and Tramp.
Jacques.
And Scrooge McDuck, J. Pat O'Malley, voiced Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and all the other characters in The Walrus and the Carpenter sequence later on, played Elephant Colonel Hathi and Vulture Buzzy in The Jungle Book. Ooh. Now, they don't really interpret this one, but so the voice actress Catherine Beaumont later reprised her role once more 70 years later in Kingdom Hearts 2, and that was her last performance as Alice and Wendy.
I know.
That was her last performance as both.
Yeah.
Before she sadly passed away.
Right.
So, Velma Felton, who played the fairy godmother in Cinderella, before voicing the Queen of Hearts and Alice, would later play Aunt Sarah in The Lady and the Tramp, Flora and Queen Leia? I don't know, in Sleeping Beauty, Winifred the Elephant in Jungle Book, and Sterling Holloway, who played the Cheshire Cat, would play Python Ka in the Jungle Book, though he was most famous for playing Winnie the Pooh in several shorts.
Yeah, he was a Winnie the Pooh. He was the main Winnie the Pooh before he passed away.
In the film's opening credits, Lewis Carroll's name is misspelled. It's
one L instead of two L's. Oh my god, somebody really had to pay attention to that, like a detail. Okay, Chris.
Alice in Wonderland cost over $3 million to make during a production that spanned over 5 years, 3 directors, 13 credited writers, 750 artists, 800 gallons of paint, 1,000 watercolor hues, and over 350,000 drawings and paintings, and it only earned back just $2.4 million.
Yeah. But it wasn't the one.
It wasn't a complete financial failure.
It wasn't a complete failure, but it did not do too well. Basically,
yes, like it wasn't.
Well, let's say like not do too well after the fact of just Cinderella. You know.
So
after Cinderella,
animator Ward Kimball blamed the movie's quote unquote failure on all the competing creators, aka too many cooks, as he put it. Well,
yeah, that could ruin animation studios, is when you have too many cooks that want to be the main animator and.
Yeah. So, Alice earned just 1 Academy Award nomination for instrumental score.
Yeah, because there wasn't really too much. Well, and also there wasn't too much music. I didn't feel like in Alice in Wonderland as like Cinderella and stuff like that. So. So basically, it was kind of like a hit and miss with that one. And that one, and don't get me wrong, Alice in Wonderland is not one of my favorite movies, but it's a tolerable movie, I guess. Like, I just felt like it wasn't what it should have been, I guess.
Right.
For what it was.
I'm not even going to do the last one because it was cut off, but we're going to do the second to last. In the 1960s, Alice, like Fantasia, earned a reappraisal for college-aged audiences who appreciated its trippy nature, especially if they watched it under the influence of drugs.
Yeah, we'll just say Alice in Wonderland became more. It was not popular in the 50s, but it became more popular in the 60s when
it became more popular in the 60s and 70s when LSD was.
Well, when drugs was a thing, basically.
Well, no, drugs were a thing prior, but the creation of like LSD and like opiates.
Well, I'm talking about like drugs. That's when they became more in mainstream media of everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like being mainstream.
But it's like
about it.
It's more like when opiates and LSD was created. It was just like.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say too. That's why I was like, that's what I'm saying. That's when it became popularized and wasn't in the media. Yeah. Basically.
Walt didn't want to market and re-release his experimental, colorful early features as quote unquote head films. But after his death in 1966, that's unfortunately what happened. Advertised with psychedelic poster art, Alice was re-released in 1974 and 1981 with a much greater success.
Because of drugs.
Yep. In contemporary dollars, Alice alone earned $322 million over its lifetime.
So, like, it made more money after the fact it came out.
Yeah, but because Walt...
like psychedelics, they get you
so that's,
by the boo-boo. Yeah, right? Right, Albert? That's what I said. That's the only reason why Alice became popular is because of,
So that's one page on Alice. Here's the second page.
This one's like somebody else's.
Yeah, no,
view,
but these are mainly the same in some aspects.
Oh yeah, they are. I know they are. Like there might be like one or two that might be something that's like.
I'm just gonna skip the first page and see if there's any. Really? You printed like 3 pages and they're just all advertisements.
That's what they gave me. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not much I could do. But basically, more or less, Allison is more of your...
Oh, here we go.
...drug movie, almost.
Here we go. Here's an important factor that nobody knew. All right? The only character that was not from the books, but was included in the movie, was the doorknob.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an added character. Everybody else, it was in the Carol's book at some point. But yeah, the doorknob was just a creation from Disney. So technically, if you want to think about it, Disney did their own creation of Alice in Wonderland just because of one character.
Oh yeah, here we go.
One character.
It was.
Wait. Pink printed ad breaks, and now a word from our sponsors, Albert. Oh, it's just like because I turn them off the internet, and that's what. Yeah.
Yep. See, so you were right. It was included but it was included in this one as number 6.
Yeah, I know I saw it somewhere. Somebody did say so. That's why I think that's the reason why I printed that one off is because of that little fun fact about the voice of in Kingdom Hearts.
So more recently, her voice was used again in the video game Kingdom Hearts: Birth by Sleep. It was just the, I guess, unedited, like, because they had go through.
Well, plus if you think about it.
Well, no, these were recorded, aka recycled or unused lines that could have made it in the second game, but were never.
Or it could have been, they do record when they do record, they have your voice in.
Yeah.
In whatever you call it, in storage for the rest of your life, even past your death.
Here we go. This one is a good fun fact. So the most famous character in Alice in Wonderland is the White Rabbit, who always carries a clock and runs around saying, "I'm late to a very important date."
Right.
Each time his clock is always seeing it. The time is always perpetually stuck at 12:25.
Yeah.
So it never moves.
Yeah, and it's not technically not a really working clock or watch or whatever.
It's not a working watch. He just always thinks he's late to a very important date.
Yeah, right. But more or less, Alice in Wonderland, it was like a flop, but then it became a success after the fact. So
hold on.
That's how that movie became.
You know what? You're absolutely right, Albert. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, that's our intermission time. We'll be right back with these new sponsors. Hello, kids. Do you like some Ovaltine? What is Ovaltine, you may ask? It's rich, creamy chocolate goodness in your tummy. Ovaltine. Drink it up.
Oh, my God. Oh, wow. Oh, Jesus. That company is still around.
It is.
It is?
Yeah, it is. Ovaltine is still around to this very day.
I would be getting hit with that because I'm not officially sponsored by Ovaltine. Oh my God.
That pitch for Ovaltine, right?
Yeah.
Drink it up.
Oh, lady, don't go. Come on, lady. Stay up. Stay with you, girl. Stay with me. But now, guys, let's go to the second star to the right. It's straight on till morning now. Do we know where we're going to?
We're going to Neverland.
Yes, children, we're going to Neverland. We're going to talk about Peter Pan next. That was the third movie that Disney made in the Silver Age. At least it's not the Dollar Shave Club. Right?
I will sponsor the Dollar Shave Club.
Okay, well that's on your channel. This is my channel, so I'm sorry. You can talk about it on your own channel.
But your channel could get funding from the Dollar Shave channel.
As a young boy, Walt Disney saw a touring production of Peter Pan. Walt Disney broke his piggy bank to get the money for the tickets to the performance starring actress Maude Adams. He remembered the performance fondly and later asked her to look at an early reel of his variation of Peter Pan. She declined. Disney said that to her. The Peter Pan whom she created was to her real life and blood, while another's creation of this character would only be a ghost to her. And summarized that Miss Adams is simply living in the past. Ladies need buttery smooth legs too. I know. But I'm just giving crap about it. Walt later landed the title role himself of Peter Pan. Perhaps inspired by the performance he saw, Walt went on to play Peter Pan in a school production. No actor ever identified himself with the part he was playing more than he said. So, he got to be Peter Pan in his lifetime when he was a kid in Kansas City, Missouri.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you want buttery smooth legs?
No, I'm good. Disney had to make a deal with a hospital to make the movie. This is an interesting fact, guys. This is a
hospital.
A hospital to get the movie. Author J.M. Barrie, who is the author of Peter Pan, famously left the rights to Peter Pan to the Great Ormond Street Hospital when he died. So he gave the rights to Peter Pan to a hospital, like a children's hospital, I'm assuming.
That's because
the hospital made a deal with Disney in 1939, giving them the exclusive animation rights. It doesn't receive income from the sales of DVDs or toys, though, because those things weren't in the 1939 contract. So they're not getting no revenue from DVD productions or toys that are sold in the...
Right, but anything that's VHS related...
No, nothing. VHSs were not invented until about the 1980s or so.
Oh, yeah. So... It was just at that time when it was like, hey, you know...
All it was just you go to the movies and you see the movie.
It's like whatever revenue we make, you guys make at the same time.
It's like you got the movie, you go to the movie theater, or like they did, like, you know, when Walt started doing the Living in Color thingy. That just TV productions.
You can do what you want.
However, according to the hospital's website, Disney has been very supportive nonetheless. Since 2008, when Disney partnered with the Great Ormond Street Hospital Children's Charity, they have raised more than 10 million, I'm going to say euros. It's just
pounds.
Okay, 10 million pounds. Sorry, I don't know very well that. But 10 million pounds, but $14.5 million in US towards the hospital's vital redevelopment program, and continue to support the hospital and the charity with fundraising events and donations. So they're still part of that hospital. They still, help that hospital, but I just thought it was really fun. That was a really interesting fact that the author of Peter Pan left his rights of Peter Pan to a hospital. Like no other production company, or even to a family member, a hospital. Probably a children's hospital, because it doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, wow. That was an interesting fact. Roy Disney was against Peter Pan. This is interesting. The elder Disney found the $3 million budget hard to swallow and was probably livid when costs soared to $4 million. He and Walt ended up in a big fight about the whole affair. It all worked out in the end. Pan grossed more than $40 million upon its original release and another $46.6 million when it was re-released in the 1980s. See, there comes the Big Brother thing where it was like, he got to the point of being like, dude,
Yeah.
Calm down. I know you have these big dreams, but calm down.
Yeah, it's probably gotten to. Well, he's probably gotten to that point, especially after Alice in Wonderland, where it's like, okay, you spent $3 million, you only got $2.4 million back to start.
Right. Well, at this time.
Yeah, at this time.
Before, it came back out.
And now you're pushing
right
more of a budget for this movie, and you don't know how it's going to pan out.
Yeah.
So.
But animator Mike Milt Call thought drawing Peter Pan was dull work.
Probably because it was a simple design for Peter Pan.
Milt Call had hoped to be assigned to the villainous Captain Hook instead, and found himself bored with the work on Pan and Wendy. The hardest part about drawing Peter, he said, was making it look realistic when he was floating in the mid-air or landing. Call resolved the latter by having Peter's upper body arrive first, with his lower body catching up afterward.
You have a call.
I know. Don't forget. Here, finish that. I have to take this.
Okay.
Hello? I'm doing a YouTube thing.
So Wendy Darling was voiced by, again, Catherine Beaumont, who was fresh off of Alice in Wonderland. That's fact number 6. So number 7. It has been long rumored that Marilyn Monroe inspired the idea for Tinkerbell, but it's actually false. Actress Margaret Carey was the animator's model for the fairy, acting out scenes to provide them with a reference for her movements. So she would do like specific poses,
Sorry, guys.
Frame by frame, shot by shot, and artists would then draw.
I will take back now.
Okay, hold on. At the time, the song was originally called Beyond the Laughing Sky, again, as we explained in Alice in Wonderland, but it was changed in Peter Pan. Number 9, you're at.
Okay. Alrighty. Sorry, guys. There was just a phone call from my dad. I had to answer that one. Actor Hans Conrad, I think, provided the voice for both Mr. Darling and Captain Hook. The dual role upholds a long-standing theater tradition in which the same actor portrayed both the strict Darling father and the one-handed pirate, which that made sense to me because it's like, I'm thinking this as, like, if you're doing it in a storybook way. So you're thinking your dad is like a villain at this time, like especially with Wendy because he wants Wendy to grow up. So I'm seeing this as like, if you were thinking about it, how Peter Pan works, it's like, oh, this person is turning to be this person in this story. Mm-hmm. So I see it that way. It is said that Walt didn't actually care much for the finished product of Peter Pan. He didn't care for it. He believed that Peter Pan they had created was cold and unlikable. He did not like the Peter Pan.
But apparently it grossed a good amount of money.
Yeah. Despite this, Disney believed author J.M. Barrie would have approved of his Pan. In a 1952 article called My Plans for Peter Pan, Disney wrote, I believe that if Barrie were alive today, he would be only too happy to write the adventures of Peter and Wendy directly for the screen. Realizing here at last was a chance to perform his miracles exactly as he wanted them, that here was a medium which to full justice to quality and his showmanship. So he thinks that J.M. Barrie liked his Peter Pan.
Uh-huh.
Which we don't know, because Barrie was passed away by that time, He was like in the 1800s, so.
Right. I'll be right back. Coffee.
Sadly, the boy who voiced Peter Pan fell victim to the child actor curse. As Bobby Driscoll got older, the roles seemed to dry up and he turned to drugs. After a prison stay in the early 60s, Driscoll became part of Andy Warhol's factory scene. He died of a heart failure in 1968 at the age of 31. I like the Robin Williams Pan best. Yeah, I kind of do too. I kind of like the movie Hooked in the 90s was a really good, like, telling, like, the what if Peter Pan became, well, technically human. I know it's not Disney, but if you think about it, I kind of just like the aspect of it opens up, like, what would happen type thing. But, so Bobby Driscoll, yeah, fell into the child curse. He died at 31 in 1968 because of heart failure, because of drugs and stuff. But, you know, that's a lot of child actors nowadays. It's sad that most child actors can't get anything past being a child, because studios don't see these kids. Well, I mean, he is human, but, you know, in all aspects, non-human, because he doesn't grow up. So it's kind of like I don't know how you would put Peter Pan. Like, he is like half human, but then again, like, what's the purpose of him? Why he can't grow up when he's in Neverland? You know, that type of thing. That's where I'm kind of, I kind of feel like there's a plot hole there. Like, what's the, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things that nobody has really explained. I don't even know if J.M. Barrie in his books explains, like, what Peter is. The Lost Boys are dead as they never grow up. They are saying that, too. They're saying that, like, Peter Pan in some ways is kind of like a heaven for children, to give or take. But I don't know. It's like nobody really explains it unless there's something out there that tells you exactly how Peter Pan is. Yeah. I thought they didn't grow because of Neverland. Well, and that's why I'm saying Neverland. I don't know. That's the question. Like, what's in Neverland that makes you grow up? Because, well, I mean, you have the adult pirates, so it's kind of like, okay. So you have adults and the Indians. And I'm assuming the Indians grow, too, because, I mean, they have kids and stuff like that, and they grow. So it's a fine line, really. And that's what a lot of people are saying, that Neverland is the afterlife. And I kind of want to put it that way too, because I think now I have to remember, the movie Finding Neverland with Johnny Depp and Kate Winslet do a little bit best explained, because they do talk about J.M. Barrie and stuff. So, and then the mom in there is sick and stuff, so he's trying to make kind of like a heavy that's like, and for kids aspect, I think, to make it ease them to understand when their mom is passing away and all that, you know, that this is what heaven is like. It's like Neverland, and with Peter Pan that comes and gets you, or I don't know if it was like the kid or somebody was sick in that movie, and that's what I'm thinking it is in some ways. But yeah, they have been putting it as Peter Pan as kind of like a Grim Reaper type thing, and it's an afterlife type thing, but I don't know exactly if it's the truth or not. So it's kind of like 50-50. I mean, you could probably look it up and it'd probably tell you somewhere the story of what the purpose of Neverland and Peter Pan is, and, you know, why he doesn't grow up and stuff. But, you know, it could go either or on that aspect of Peter Pan.
You're an aspect of Peter Pan. No, I'm kidding. I know what we were talking about.
I know, I saw you. You were talking in there.
Well, yeah.
But, like I said, Peter Pan in general is a big mystery. Let's just go with that. Because people say one thing, you know, you got some people saying this and some people saying that. So it's kind of like...
It's in the realm of possibility, but it's never explained.
Well, and the only one I could say that might give you the benefit of the doubt that might be true is the like I said, Finding Neverland with Johnny Depp. They do explain, you know, like the creation of Peter Pan. Mm-hmm. So I'm in it. I know I think the mom is sick or somebody's sick, and, you know, and trying to make it heaven a little bit more fun and playful. Yeah. For a kid aspect, you know. So I that's the only one I could say that probably might give us a little bit more in depth, but I'm not for sure if that's true or not. Like, you know, like how J.M. Barrie made Peter Pan, you know, saying wise. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of those like, I don't know yet. So it's whatever. All right, your turn with the next movie that came out in this era.
Yeah, probably I mean, we could do the other half next time, because I've got two more, and you got two more, or you got one more.
I have two more.
So you want to save the other half for the next time?
Well, I mean, you need to do that one, so that makes you do two, because I just did two.
Yes, I know.
Okay. I mean, we can, unless people are really interested in learning about the Silver Age of time-wise.
No, I think this will fit out, because then you could do your bugaboo time.
Oh, I don't have to.
Yeah, okay. So,
The Lady and the Tramp. Let's go. And we got Lady sitting right here in front of the phone. Okay, hold on, Chris, to say something real quick before you start. The notion of a boy who would never grow up was based on Jay and Barry's older brother who died in an ice skating accident the day before he turned 14, and thus always stayed a young boy in his mother's mind. Peter Pan has, however, appeared as a variety of ages.
He probably grabbed that from online, but that's pretty interesting.
I mean, it could be that. We don't, I mean, like
well,
I said.
That's an interesting fun fact in its own, though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, too. Then, and, you got the movie Finding Neverland that does, kind of does something. I don't know. It's a 50, like I said, it's a 50-50 on how people put the story it is from the wiki.
So, Lady and the Tramp. This movie was actually inspired by a real dog that was named Lady.
Yeah, it was, I think, one of the animators, I think.
Yes.
His own dog.
So, in 1937, Disney writer Joe Grant showed Walt Disney some sketches he had done of his Springer Spaniel, Lady. Walt Disney was so impressed that he encouraged Joe to create a full storyboard. Like her fictional counterpart, the real-life Lady was learning how to deal with her own her owner's new baby, which was the main which served as the main inspiration for Grant's plot. In the end, Walt wasn't thrilled with the storyline, and the idea was ultimately scrapped. But several years later, Walt came across a story by Ward Green in the Cosmopolitan called Happy Dan, the Whistling Dog. Mm-hmm. And he believed that the two ideas could be combined into one to create a stronger story, and asked Green to come up with one. So, Tramp was inspired by Happy Dan, the Whistling Dog.
Yeah. Well, and then the story itself, too, came from there, too. For the basis of the story of Lady and the Tramp.
So, in early drafts, the scruffy male dog was called Homer, Rags, Bozo, and even just Mutt. Walt himself scratched out Mutt in one of his scripts and penciled it in with Tramp. Ward Green and the movie's distributors protested, feeling the name was a little too risque.
But it worked, and we still have Tramp today.
But I love this line. But Walt Disney usually got his way, and this was no exception.
Well, dude, he was. He's the creator. I mean, how the heck are you going to sit there and go against the creator? Mm-hmm. It's one of those like, come on, guys. You're gonna go against the boss.
Well, I mean, because
he's the boss.
Yes,
basically.
But again, when you say, "Oh, it's Lady and the Tramp," it's like, so it's pretty much Lady and the Hooker.
I mean, you could think that, but then if you really look at like posters and stuff, you could see it that way. But
Yeah.
But I like it that way.
So the real Tramp was a girl.
Yes, it was.
So the writers and animators had plenty of inspirations for Lady, as some of the people involved with the film had spaniels as they brought in as models. But the perfect mutt proved to be the most elusive. One of the writers spotted the perfectly happy yet bedraggled dog roaming around his neighborhood and tried to coax it over, but the dog was too damn quick. After failing to spot the dog again, the writer eventually checked with the city pound, where he found his perfect Tramp. Disney adopted the dog, who had apparently just been hours away from taking the long walk. Ooh. And let her live in a private area behind Disneyland.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cute. They kept the dog in the, and still,
Yeah, before she got, euthanized. Mm-hmm. That's scary.
Yeah, right.
The Disney offices were filled with live animals for the animators to get references. Not only were there dogs and shapes, dogs of every shape and size roaming around, but animator Wooly Retherman kept a cage of rats next to his desk as references for the rat fighting scene.
Oh my god, when I first watched that movie, that rat scared the shit out of me. I'm sorry to say that, but that rat was scary as heck.
So then he did his job right.
I know, but that's what you're gonna see old rats now. You're like, they're just like this, like really like dark. It's just weird. It's just like that for so long. That's what I thought a rat would look like. But then when you actually see one, they're like, okay, they're not too bad, but they're still kind of
Mm-hmm.
But dude, that movie that scared me so bad. I was like, oh god, no. As a kid, anyways, that was scary. Right. To sit there and see that rat.
The idea for the story originated in 1937, and the rights to Happy Dan the Whistling Dog were purchased by Disney in the 1940s. So why didn't it take until 1955 for the movie to get out? Well, for one, Disney switched its focus somewhat during World War II, beginning to work on its propaganda films.
Yeah.
But at one point, Disney felt his animators has lost their feel of the characters. So he removed them from work on Lady and the Tramp and had them switch over to Sleeping Beauty for about 6 months. The change of scenery apparently worked, as Disney believed that when the artists returned to the dogs, they tackled the project with new enthusiasm.
Yeah, and I was like, that's a pretty good idea. I mean, really, if you think about it, Silver Age, like, movies were coming out, like, boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Like, there was no break into, like, a lot of these movies.
So, when the movie was put on the back burner due to World War II, it was almost forgotten completely until 1952, when Roy Disney encouraged Walt to start work on the movie again, outlining a plan to run the film in smaller, first-run theaters only. Here we go. For Christmas one year, Walt bought his wife Lillian a chow puppy. Instead of just trotting it out, or trotting it out,
like walking it out, you know.
Yeah, Disney placed the puppy into a hat box and presented his wife with the gift. She was disappointed at first. Lillian preferred to choose her own hats, but quickly recovered when the puppy emerged.
So basically, that scene was actually happening in real life to Walt Disney. That's in the movie itself, and it's a cute little idea. But they get opposite of thinking like, please,
They named him Sunny, not like Sunny, Sunnee.
Yeah,
like
I know.
Sunny.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. See, that's an opposite of thinking like, dude, I hope that puppy wasn't in that box very long, because I feel like that poor thing is probably dying of air.
Right.
Because those hat boxes were really, ugh.
Ooh, so the sinister Siamese cats had been part of the original script since Joe Grant's earliest versions, but instead of Si and Am, they were originally called Nip and Tuck.
Yeah, no, I was like, what the heck? Where the heck did that name come from, Nip and Tuck? It's like
or surgeries.
They weren't. No, plastic surgery wasn't common yet at that time yet.
No, not like plastic surgery. I'm just saying surgeries in general, because you do a little nip and tuck.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. It's like I don't know.
They belonged to an equally sinister mother-in-law, then called Mumsy, who later evolved into Aunt Sarah. And Jim Deere and Darling were once known as Mr. and Mrs. Fred. Other characters didn't make the cut at all. Secondary characters that eventually got the axe included a pet duck that belonged to a neighbor and a canary named Trilby. The song called I'm Free was also chopped from the script. After the Tramp character was further developed, it was decided that the tune no longer fit his roguish character as well as it once had. It was released as an extra when the movie came out on Blu-ray in 2012, though.
Yeah. I think I have that version, actually, of The Lady and the Tramp, I think.
The spaghetti scene almost didn't happen.
That's a big news that it almost did not happen. The spaghetti scene.
Yes.
That is the most iconic scene that everybody knows.
Yes.
How that movie.
It is the most famous, iconic, and parodied scene ever. But Walt was against the cozy pasta scene.
See, that's what's funny. It was Walt did not like it.
Yeah, though he wanted the dogs to have a human emotions, he couldn't just wrap his head around two dogs romantically sharing a strand of spaghetti. If you ever watched your dogs fight over a plate of leftovers, you can imagine why. Disney eventually relented after animator Frank Thomas worked up a rough draft of how it might work.
Hi, Ellie.
Ooh. Peggy Lee sued Disney for $25 million.
Okay.
30 years after the fact.
Okay, yeah, but that's like a funny story on that one. I think it's hilarious when you get to it, because it's like, she wanted that money, but keep reading. It is so funny. I'm like, it is like karma is like.
Oh yeah, no, I'm interested. So, singer Peggy Lee provided several voices for the film. Both cats, Si and Am, Peg the dog, and Darling. She also wrote lyrics for the songs she performed in character. In 1988, literally 30 years after the fact, Lee sued the Disney Walt Disney Animation Studios for $25 million in royalties and damages, claiming that her original contract said she would receive money for, quote-unquote, transcriptions for sale to the public. When the contract was written in the 1950s, of course, VHSs didn't exist.
Right.
Lee's argument was that VHS fell under the umbrella of transcriptions, and that Disney hadn't given her anything for the millions of VHS tapes they later sold. I should have think Disney would be willing to share, but I guess mice need a lot of cheese, she later said. The court awarded her only $3.3 million in 1991.
I think that was such, like, karma, babe. Karma.
Well, they awarded her on only the premise of her songs being used in the VHSs, but not that the fact that, you know,
I'm just thinking, like, because, you know...
Well, no, the only reason she somewhat won that case was because it was her music, yes?
Yes.
But and that's the only thing she was entitled to.
Yeah, but the thing is, like you said...
The characters...
She felt like, you know, VHS fell under the umbrella of...
Which it didn't.
Which, at the time, no, because, I'm sorry...
VHSs
No, hear me out. Mm-hmm. They were only created in the 80s. You know, that's when they became popular, was in the 80s, VHSs. Because, I mean, that was, like, the thing. Yep. VHS here, there, whatever. But the thing is with that, it's like... And like I'm going to say this with some other cases, like, even in criminal cases. Like, if they weren't even thought of back in that time, why should you get it, now type thing, you know? Like, it's like a 50-50 on it. Because it's like, well, okay. They weren't, they weren't even thought of at that time.
Exactly. VHS never existed.
Until the 80s. But the thing is...
No, I'm saying if they'd never existed, then she wouldn't have gotten royalties for that in general.
Right, but that's the thing. And I'm just saying she was just kind of being petty about it. More or less, I want to say she was petty about, I want my money, blah, 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 because of it's on VHS. So I was like, well, honey, you got to think about it. You didn't make that stuff until the 1950s, and that stuff came out in the 50s. That's something different when you come into
But again,
the 80s.
She's probably sitting on those royalties... all nice, and next thing you know, her well's running dry, and she probably wanted to...
That's what I'm saying. Like, something like she's not as popular as she was, or she, nobody's buying her music no more because nobody cares because she hasn't made anything since the 1950s or whatever. Yeah, So, and people are kind of like...
So,
if you're not Elvis, if you were not Elvis, and you were kind of fell in the dust,
well, I kind of know about this case, too, because, It's funny to me because how you guys...
and what I was telling you about with the BTK person, with his crime. Yeah, he should have got the death penalty. But if you think, like they said, his crimes, go back to the 1970s, which they didn't have, Kansas didn't have the death penalty. Mm-hmm. So it's like that kind of thing, well, this wasn't a thing back then. When that was made back then, I'm sorry, that did not conclude to this sheet till now with the VHS. But that is her intellectual property, regardless of the medium used to...
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
So she won the case... And this is
but she didn't get what she got.
No, she didn't get what she wanted.
That's why I was saying
However, the court found her in favor of her intellectual properties, i.e., her music.
Right.
The characters belong to Disney.
No matter what.
No matter what, if it's her voice or not.
Yeah.
Those intellectual properties belong to Disney.
And that's with anybody else that voiced a Disney character.
Exactly. Those are strictly and solely Disney property. You can argue, you can fight. But you're the one who signed the contract saying that my voice, my likeness in that character is owned by Disney.
Yeah, with any contract with Disney, if you're a voice of
exactly.
Any
so Haley Joel Osment can't say, "Hey, I want my royalties for Sora because I don't think you've given me enough." And Disney and Square Enix can say, "Hey, sorry, Sora's our property.
You're just the voice.
Yeah.
You just made the character's voice.
Exactly. You're just the voice."
But I understand with her thing, yes.
Yeah, the songs,
yes, that's
completely fair.
That's probably why she only got what she got.
Yeah.
Because they were just thinking song-wise.
Exactly.
But I'm just saying, but to her too, she got to realize she can't get what she was saying. I want $25 million.
That's a little too.
That's a little too excessive because that makes no sense to the production of the song being out on VHS at the time.
Right.
So it's
exactly.
Yeah, well,
it's similar in that aspect.
Yeah, if you just the voice, you're just the person that made the character come to life. Yeah, basically. So I mean, I think she was trying to get to underline.
Yeah, she was trying to pull off where it was,
my voice too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
my voice provided for these characters. I want royalties for that, and no, the court wouldn't favor in that because they're
no, because
Because when you break it down, they're going on based on intellectual properties. Okay, you own the rights to your own music. Sure, you'll get royalties for that for VHSs and DVDs. Fine. And they look at the characters. I'm sorry, you may have provided the voice, but again, those are intellectual properties of Disney.
Right.
They technically own Am, this character.
Right. Like. But and I'm guaranteed with that whole thing too. Disney show they're saying this is the contract. This is what it says.
Yeah.
And I bet you there's like that voice belongs to Disney. I'm sorry, your voice belongs to Disney right now.
Yeah. No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what. Songs, yes, I understand. If it's an original song, yes.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Exactly. Like Tarzan. If Phil Collins, wanted to pull that stunt and say he had a voice as a character, same thing. Phil Collins may be voice of said character, but like Son of Man and other songs.
Well, no. You know what? No, I would say, let's go with that. Well, let's say like Milan, okay.
Or best Robin Williams. Robin Williams, if he was still alive.
Let's go with Milan. Okay. Donny Osmond.
Okay.
He's the singing voice to Shang.
Yeah.
But he does have a voice in the song.
So he owns the intellectual properties to make a man out of you.
But he can't do the voice of Mushu that he did in the song.
Shang, you mean?
No, it was actually Mushu. It wasn't. The voice, these kids got scared to death. That's not Eddie Murphy. That's actually Donny Osmond. That was the only time he ever voiced a character in there. He was the Mushu voice. It wasn't Shang singing it. It was Mushu. It's a real.
Make a man out of you.
Okay, the song "Make a Man Out of Me" after the fight scene. It was like before Mulan says, "I hope he doesn't see right through me." That this kid got him scared to death.
Oh, okay.
You think it's Mushu, but it's not Eddie Murphy's voice. It's actually Donny Osmond. That's the only time he voiced a character in there. So he could sit there and that's what I'm trying to give him.
Yeah, he could say, "Oh, I own the rights to the character Mushu too," in a way.
Right.
No.
Right. Which means you're there, bitch.
Exactly.
Basically,
it's like your voice is always
if I go in there, I probably most likely, if I ever auditioned for a Disney character and I got the part, they're going to give me a contract saying, I'm sorry, your voice is...
Yeah, your voice as the character belongs to Disney. Us. Now, if you created an original
song, then yes, I will get royalties for it because it's my creation. So yeah, I'm going to get that. I mean, that's what all the songwriters in the movies are. You're back. I'm sorry.
Dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow, dishonor on your whole family.
No, actually, it goes dishonor on you. No, it's like dishonor your family, dishonor you, cow. But yeah, anyways, but back to that.
So Trusty the Bloodhound, Bloodhound. Trusty the Bloodhound almost didn't make it in the movie. So near the end of the movie, Trusty the Bloodhound finds himself on the wrong end of the dog catcher's wagon.
Which we all see. That's the scene where he got hit by the wagon.
Though we later see him enjoying Christmas Day with his friends. It wasn't to end so happily. So there are two stories on why Trusty got a reprieve. One version is that Walt had gotten a lot of criticism for killing Bambi's mother, and he wasn't eager to repeat the experience.
Yeah.
The other was that he saw Peggy Lee crying in the studio one day, and he asked her why, and she declared that the scene was just too sad. He argued that the movie needed the drama, but Lee pleaded with him to let Trusty live.
I mean, that's fair enough, and I was like, I agree with that. Like Disney does not.
Are you kidding me? If PETA was created back then, they would have fucking no.
PETA would probably have been on that case. They probably would have been on the case on Bambi, for Christ's sakes.
Oh yeah.
If they were even thought of at that time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that would have been just like PETA would have been like, you better change that. Baby's mom better be coming back. I'm sorry.
So. This one's a good one.
So basically, maybe that's where PETA started.
Oh, yeah, right?
I would be so funny if that's how they started. It was from Lady in the Tramp.
Right? Last but not least, this one's a good one.
Or that Peggy Lee had something to do with it.
This one is a good one for the finale. So this was the first animated feature to ever be made in CinemaScope.
Yeah, in CinemaScope, widescreen. Yeah.
Yep. So the widescreen format was brand new technology at that time. Though it was intended to help the viewer get a broad scope of landscapes and scenery, not everyone thought the format suited the movie so well. A New York Times critic once reported, "The sentimentality is mighty, and the use of the CinemaScope does not make for any less awareness of the thickness of the goo. It also magnifies the animation so that flaws and poor foreshortening are more plain."
But so yeah, that was the start of CinemaScope with Disney, was Lady in a Tramp, which was
to its credit, it was them trying new things.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I would say, Disney was the frontier on trying
exactly.
a lot of new things.
So
like,
of course, I
want to say every movie that Disney did, something new became out of each movie somewhere. Something was created through one of his movies that he was alive.
Right.
I'm not going to say anything past that, but when he was alive, he was the frontier of a lot of things, and people followed after that.
Oh no, we're going to be ending soon, Albert. From the park with Snowball. Yeah, we're going to be ending soon. We're just going to discuss one more topic in detail.
Well, we're going to continue with the whole Silver Age next week.
Yeah, we're going to continue with the other half of the Silver Age next week, but we're going to end on one quick note. And if you guys did not know, the new Lion King trailer released today.
Yes, the live-action trailer for Lion King came out today. We both watched it, and if you don't want spoilers, you could turn off whatever.
But you guys...
All right, have a good day. All right, bye, Albert. So, it came out.
It came out today. It dropped.
I'm sorry, but I'm disappointed with this trailer. This trailer was just kind of a big disappointment for me.
Hold on. Before anything, let's go and grab the Linky Poo. For those who do not know what it's all about, the link is right here in the chat. And in a nutshell, it's just like, I mean, all in all, let's break down the barriers. It's generally a 1-to-1. Based on how it looks, it is a nice...
No, the movie's not coming out until July, Ellie.
Yeah, it's July. July 19th?
Something like that. Somewhere. I'll tell you in the trailer.
Yeah. But trailer alone, they could have done it better.
That's where I'm getting at, because I feel like they could have done more with the trailer.
Well, usually with trailers, they're supposed to try to best represent...
I'm sorry, Toy Story had a better trailer. Aladdin had a 10 times better trailer.
I mean, you can, but again, it doesn't... We can judge the trailer...
We're not judging the movie itself.
Yeah, no, we're not judging the movie itself. The movie itself...
is its own thing when it comes out. We're talking about the trailer as in they're showing, like, for people that don't know The Lion King, let's say, like, the new kids nowadays, when they see it, type thing. You know, like...
So, in a comparison, at least from what we can get, it does remain faithful to the 1994 classic, at least in some areas.
So far what they've shown us, yes,
it stays true, like a nice 1-to-1 recreation, all CGI. It looks good,
right? But I was just disappointed. I wish there was more talking from other characters besides Scar and Mufasa, and then a little whatever at the end of the whole trailer with Timon and Pumbaa. It would have been nice. You
wanted Simba and Nala to actually hear their voices.
Like, I like to pinpoint voices. Is it going to fit the character? Yeah, more or less. I wanted to see that.
I mean, James Earl Jones obviously as Mufasa. That's
a given. Everybody, and he was in the first one.
But the new person who replaces Jeremy Irons doesn't do a bad Scar.
Yeah, he's good. He's fine. I'm not saying anything bad about it.
He gives you a nice grittiness that's like, ooh, you are a villain.
But also, even in Timon and Pumbaa, you barely can hear the voices.
Well, okay, so we know Seth Rogen is the voice of Pumbaa, and that is kind of fitting because, I mean, Seth Rogen and himself is a very chubby, funny, lovable kind of character.
But I would like to hear him talking. Even
just as an actor.
I'm not talking, but the thing is, with that one, it was still even less than anything.
Yeah.
I really like to hear talking, not just, we're going to sing the wing, bump.
Yeah, all you hear. In the jungle.
Yeah, that's all you hear, and I'm like, I want to hear talking, guys. I don't want to just hear two people talking, that's it. It's like, I wouldn't even like to hear Rafiki's voice. Does he sound like the Rafiki that you would think of, like, back in the 90s? Like that kind of the old, wise monkey,
But that's the thing with Disney nowadays. They're making trailers that they don't want to reveal too much.
I know they're not. They're still doing that because they made Dumbo so big, and Dumbo is not as big as they thought it was.
True, but again, they really that was the reason. And again, they did the same thing with the Lion King trailers. They made it so big We don't know the final result until we see it, though.
Well, and I understand that, but I just wish they would allow us to list other characters besides just two characters, basically, talking.
But that's how The Lion King ultimately was in the beginning. Like you said, it was like Hamlet, where it was two brothers. They thought they were, on the same team, and then one screws one over to become king and take over the land. And
well, I know, but I want to hear the voices, so I can sit there and be like, okay, I could accept like Beyonce being the voice of Nala. Like, it'd be like a nice acceptance. Like, okay, she sounds good, awesome, perfect.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and be in the because you hear like what she does like in interviews and stuff, and you're just sort of thinking
maybe
no,
there's something we're not seeing, because again, we have not seen the cinematic trailers that they don't show you on YouTube. Like, the ones where you go to the movies and you see a lot more than
No, they're the same, because I can tell you this. Aladdin was the same. Remember? Aladdin was the same one we saw on YouTube.
Yeah, Aladdin was the same at least. But
no, they all are. They're
really?
all are. They're all the same. They're not doing two different. One from the movie aspect, and then there's the one for YouTube. They're all the same. They're not changing anything. They're the same. Even Toy Story was the same. When they were showing it at Dumbo, they were the same. They weren't different.
So maybe then they're just not giving you enough. So it's like, hey, now you have a reason to go.
Well, and I understand that too, but I'm talking for the aspect of people like us, like our generation. We grew up with the 90s,
I don't know.
Lion
I mean,
King.
I'm not harping on it.
I'm not trying to be mean about it. I just wanted to hear other characters. I mean, I'm sorry.
No, I'm not harping on the fact that I couldn't hear any other characters. That's the thing. To me, I'm looking at it from like, okay, sure, it's Scar and Mufasa mainly talking. Okay. And you're seeing it as, why am I not hearing Rafiki? Why am I not hearing, Simba? Why am I not hearing Nala?
Well, I mean, because other ones you hear other people's voices.
Understandable.
And that makes no sense why you're leaving out big characters out.
I'm thinking again, because they've been doing this for a couple of movies so far. Take a look at Frozen 2. They didn't give you any idea on why she's practicing.
Well, that's a teaser trailer. That's a difference between a teaser trailer. You will get a trailer probably here in the summer sometime for that.
Okay, movie. And I bet you it'll just be as mysterious as all the
possibly,
other trailers.
Possibly, they might show you more than anything. Like they did with Toy Story 4.
I don't know. To me, again, except for Toy Story 4, most of the live-action Disney movies have always had like this weird, I want to say ambiance of mystique lately, where it's like, if you want to know more, you have to go and see the movie.
Now, to the extent they did overdo Dumbo. They overshot Dumbo.
Yeah.
And I even saw a trailer recently yesterday, and I was sitting there looking at it like, no, it's not what you're saying, guys. You could hype it up all you want to with Dumbo, but realistically, guys, it's not what it was. And it's still not making money. It's still not making the money. It was in third place this last weekend. It's still not making the money that they were expecting it.
No.
Because I will tell them, I'm sorry, you guys kind of ruined that movie. I'm sorry, and I no offense to Tim Burton. Yeah, he's a good director in his own way.
It's not so much that. Tim Burton's a good director in the dark realm of Disney, where it's like okay, it's still it's still kiddish.
No, but listen to me. I think he would have been better, not for Dumbo, but he would have been better if they made a live action of the Black Cauldron. That would be in his movie.
If they did a live adaptation of the Black Cauldron, sure. Or if they did a remake live adaptation of 101 Dalmatians.
Hey, Cara.
Yeah, like if they did a more darker toned version of 101 Dalmatians.
I
could see it. I could see it happening.
They did good what they did in the 2000s with the live action 101 Dalmatians.
I mean, Glenn Close did good Cruella de Vil, and
I'm sorry,
Hugh Laurie did a good.
And I just realized that. Oh wow.
What, you didn't realize?
No. I'm just realizing because they're making it sound like, oh my God, Maleficent's the first live-action movie.
No, it was 101 Dalmatians with Glenn Close.
It was the Jungle Book, you remember? The one made in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first one. Everybody kept saying, oh, look, Maleficent's the first one. Maleficent's the first one. No.
No, it's not.
People forgot. They did a live action, and that's where I'm going to get at. That's where I'm getting really ticked off with the whole Lion King part.
It's not.
No. This is why I wish they would have gone this way. Lion King should have went the same way they did the first Jungle Book movie, live action movie, with actual real animals. And they did perfectly fine with it. That's what they should have done with Lion King. in some way, and then maybe do a little more of it animated with their mouths of talking.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't they do? And that's the thing I don't like when.
Because again, like you said before, maybe PETA,
But PETA could go. F itself
maybe some social justice warriors.
I'm sorry, but PETA is just ruining too much for me. I'm sorry. They're ruining a lot where they're even when people are actually doing stuff right, like they're training the animals correctly.
Yeah, but again, you also have to imagine what's the cost, and maybe if you take PETA out of the equation, what's the cost between animating it and the live action version of it? What's the cost difference?
Well,
is one higher or one lower?
And I can understand that too, but I'm just saying, but they could still done an attempt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the attempt, because if they could do it in the live action Lion King back in the 90s with actual real animals, then why couldn't they do it now? They even could have done it for this recent Jungle Book they did back in 2016 or whatever.
Fair enough.
Know? I mean,
we know how Disney works. It's always been cost efficiency.
I know, but
between its animators, its projects, it's
I mean, I could be even more happy if it was just half. I mean, I would have been even happy with that. Like, if you don't want to get a real lion, okay, cool. But, I mean, there's some other docile animals you probably could get real lions.
Or maybe they done it like how they did it with actual Disney. Maybe they did hire an actual lion as a reference and then they digitally animated it.
They did that back in 90s.
Yeah, exactly. But they continued on that tradition where, they went to the jungle or they actually, rented out a lion.
That's different. I just want them to actually bring in the real animals. And I know PETA's part of it too because they're just being PETA. PETA can just go fly a kite on somewhat.
Look, let's just say PETA has gone above and beyond in being dramatic in so many ways that they've even attacked, and I know this is not Disney related, but it stands on PETA. PETA even thought that the idea of Pokemon was unethical, so they created their own faux version of it, which Nintendo ultimately tried to attack PETA because that's their baby.
Mm-hmm.
They made like a fake Pokemon game where it's like you're pretty much caging and abusing a Pikachu, and it's like, so this is what you do in Pokemon, right? It's just there's a battle system, but here you're visibly hurting a Pikachu, and it's like Nintendo's like, no. They're called pocket monsters. We created them just out of the pure fun and joy of it. You don't really see them beat the crap out of each other. They faint. They don't die. Right. So they can easily be, and
they can always get
their version of faint is like, hey, they're unconscious, from quote unquote battling, but you don't see the actual violence portion. You see,
where there's a head cut off or something.
Yeah, where there's like a head cut off. There's like some sort of like
blood.
Blood, wounds, whatever. They show like a little flash saying, "Oh, I got hurt," or some representation of, I got hit.
Even in the freaking animated things, you see him just go, eh.
Yeah, but
like, fall.
Well, no, but like even then, like take today's Pokemon, you see them quote unquote get hit. In quotations, where it's like they show a little like flash, like, ow, I got hit here.
Right.
And again, you see them run away of like, ow, I got hurt, I'm gone, or they faint.
But anyways, we'll get back to Disney. I know we're trying to, but I just like it makes just no sense. Like after I sat there and watched the that Jungle Book one back in the 90s with the real live animals, they did pretty good, and I didn't feel like someone was like any of those animals were overworked or anything, You know how they always say, oh, they're overworked or getting abused, whatever. I don't know, but we never know. And I doubt if Disney will allow that, if any animal was abused during the production.
Oh, no.
Of any sort like that. So...
I mean, even then, I'm guessing that's when PETA was just in its infancy and probably, like, harping on the fact where it's like, you better be treating those animals correctly.
But then again, what about 101 Dalmatians when it was made, the live action? They were real dogs. They weren't like, CGI dogs. They were actually real Dalmatians. So it's like you're playing with like, I don't know why and what the reason, type thing. It's just like I would like a reason. Like,
did you see the comment Ellie made or Bambi? That would
Bambi could be dark, but I don't want it to be dark.
No, but I'm saying like Bambi wouldn't even be made. I'm guessing if Disney, knowing Disney, they would never touch Bambi again in a CGI format because of PETA. Because they, no matter how you change it, there's no
But you
mother.
gotta realize too. I mean, I understand this too.
So Peeta's already gonna harp on that and say, "Oh, Bambi's mother's dead."
Okay, no offense to that, but that also too. Like, if you think of the setting, I'm gonna say this is probably in America. Okay, we're in America back in that time wherever Bambi was made. So you're like back in maybe possibly early 1900s. Let's go with that. Hunting was popularized.
Let's say like 1920s, 1930s.
Something like that. We'll go with that. They're kind of like, they don't really tell you they're just in the forest, but I'm going to say they're still forest, but it looks like Americanized,
Right.
Forest, not like, some. But the thing is with that one is, it's like, it's typical. And PETA needs to get over it because people are still hunting today.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll still hunt deer. They'll still hunt other stuff. I mean, they have their own, granted, they have their own, like, designated areas and, designated times, like, for certain animals, but it's still going on. You haven't fully got rid of it. So if you're thinking about that, so if they did Bambi like that, they're going to have to take the realization, oh, this is hunting season. I'm sorry, you're going to be hunting a deer. That's part of still America today.
Oh, you know what I think is the most hilarious?
And then if they start doing that, like what you're saying, like they're going to go after that, well, you're going to have a fun time talking to people like hunters and stuff like that. They're going to be like, you know what? We're still doing this today, and you still haven't,
Oh, no.
I know you probably could try, but you're going to be shut down. PETA's going to get shut down by so many people with that if that happens.
Oh, no. Do you know what I think is the most hilarious out of PETA? So, PETA aren't all vegans, per se.
Or whatever they want to be.
Yeah, most of them are meat eaters, which is kind of contradictive. So they were like, you can't. We think it's unethical for them to do it in the slaughterhouses and the whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's inhumane. And you can't, fast breed them. It's inhumane. I can agree on fast breeding. At least a natural breeding.
Right, like if it's the natural way, it's supposed to be, not just like we'll just.
That I can agree upon.
Right, and I can agree with that one too.
But if you're going to sit there and fight me saying, oh, this is an unethical treatment of animals, and proceed to then eat a fucking hamburger.
Right.
You can't tell me shit.
Yeah, you have no room to talk. Until you all become vegans or vegetarians at least.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're just kind of like...
Hey, Rachel.
Hi, Rachel. So, PETA is just like a 50-50 type of organization.
PETA's like a big baby. It only points
out...
Well,
and like I said, they're in this era where there can be a little bit more noticed because this is the era of people being butthurt about everything.
Exactly.
The era, basically. That's where we're at right now. Is the era
welcome
of
to the 20-teens. It's AKA the butthurt era.
Like, everybody has to... And even, like, I'm going to sit there and say, too, they're dissing even movies and stuff that made way back in the day where it was okay for it to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why I'm getting so, We did talk about Peter Pan earlier. We were first discussing because the live action Lion King trailer came out today, so we were kind of talking about it, and then we got into the whole PETA and wondering why stuff. So we're this is like the ending of the podcast. We're gonna keep going with the Sliver Age next week. We still got Sleeping Beauty,
101 Dalmatians,
Jungle Book, and Sword in the Stone.
Yep.
So we still have other movies to talk about, but we already talked Peter Pan. They're like the first few that came out in the Silver Age. So you have to rewatch the stream again, Rachel, when we talked about Peter Pan. But and I'm just getting to the point where I'm getting sick and tired of people going back to old movies that already came out.
Oh yeah.
Or that they don't sit there and realize what's going on. And we'll get into that discussion probably another time too. But it's just this generation needs just to grow up more or less.
Well, at least the generation of crybabies, the people who understand, like kids who are like around that same age group, and they at least understand.
Well, I'm going to say
they
probably have the parents that probably tell them
yeah, you need to go to that.
Like realization here, honey. I know this sounds wrong right now. Like watching a Disney movie, let's say okay, what's one of them? Mary Poppins with the whole thing, that was.
Yeah, you might view it as wrong, but hear me out.
This is the hear me out. And if the parents actually sat there and explained it, they're like, she did that because she was trying to make herself look more like dirty because it's a suit. She's a chimney sweep.
Yeah, it's the soot.
Yeah, it's not for her to make herself look black or anything. It's just.
Yeah. But, alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I think that is it
for today.
Yeah, so stay tuned for next Thursday.
And next Thursday we may have a special guest. We'll go with May at the moment until we talk to this person, but we will have a special guest next week. You talked to that person yesterday, and you know this.
Oh, yes.
But I'm not going to say the person's name until we get,
So yeah, we pretty much have a special guest. I have to message them.
We both have to message them to make sure we confirmed,
whether or not it's within their schedule.
Yeah.
No, it's not Cora.
Well, for sure.
Cora will be here Sunday, I want to say.
She'll get here probably about Sunday.
But she's only staying for a couple days.
Like a day or two, and I don't think she'll be here during
the
podcast part because it's on Thursday.
Yeah.
I think she'll be gone by that time. So, because we're going back, and guys, next week we're going back to our normal schedule on a Thursday.
Yep.
So, unless something else comes up, I'll let you know if something pops up.
But
as of now, it's still Thursday, and next week will be probably about Thursday. And did I say what? About 6? 6 Central.
6 was a general good time,
6 Central, our time, yeah. But if anything changes, we'll guys let you know in the Discord if anything changes.
Yep.
Or you guys just, like I said, watch out when it pops up.
Yep.
So, but anyways, guys, thanks for joining us today talking about the Silver Age / the live-action Lion King trailer, and I'll get into our rant.
Yeah,
as we always do.
Oh no, it's a good one though.
Oh yeah.
I like how we rant because it comes across as good.
But we'll probably give a day too for that, like the wrongs of people going after Disney and stuff like that, maybe as another podcast thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I think we'll probably do that as an evening one because we can get more people to talk. Because I know people are working right now.
It's okay, Chris.
All right. Well, we're ending, Chris. So if you hear us, we're ending now. So, all right, guys. See you guys next week.
Bye.